Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy, Barnett,
Hi.
Robin Grubel,
Hey there.
and Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists.
It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hi, everybody. This is Stacy Barnett from Canine Detection Collaborative, and we are doing a part 2 interview with Petra Ford today. Hi, Petra. How are you?
Hi. Thanks for having me back.
So excited. And I'm also here with my co-host, Crystal Wing.
Hello, friends.
And Robin is in the background, so she's going to be typing questions and doing all that kind of good stuff. So she's still here. She's just listening. So we are so excited because right after we recorded the first episode, Petra had a really fabulous win at the National Obedience Championship.
Zesty did.
Wow. Wow. So, that's definitely a part I want to talk about.
And not just a win, but
Right. And
you also had a 5th place. So not only 1, but 2 dogs at the national championship in the top 5. Does that happen? Like, who else does that?
I don't know. I don't track the things. I think the only thing I know, and I think it's the one thing that matters to me, really, to be honest with you, is that I did it with 3 different dogs just because it just kind of proves that the training works, right?
yeah.
But other than that, no, I'm excited. They were good. They worked their little hearts out for me. And Zesty for sure is a special dog because he was dead at the end and he fought really hard. So,
And how you talked about mental management last time. And so when you said that your dog is dead, okay, you've just worked 2 dogs through all of this. How are you not dead?
so it's kind of interesting. Like my training partner, who was my helper, said to me after, he's like, I really can't understand like how you were so completely calm through the whole thing. He's like, you were almost like nonchalant kind of up until the end. And I said, well, because I learned a long time ago, right? The only thing I can control is me. That's it. I can control me. Can't control anything else. So I'm going to do my job to the best of my ability. Does that mean I'm not going to make a mistake? No guarantees. I'm just going to do my very best. At this point, my dogs are as trained as they're going to be. They're going to do what they're going to do. The best dog on the planet can make a mistake. That's just the way the world works, right? Like nobody's perfect. No dog is perfect. So I find that what happens, especially big events, but it happens at regular shows too, is the event takes on way too much meaning, and then the handler gets a little overwhelmed, and then they act different and they make mistakes, or they just act different. And the dog's like, I have no idea what's happening here. So I had 2 dogs that were polar opposites that I have to handle night and day different. So that was my job, right? So I just kind of approached it 1 ring at a time. I don't even want to say 1 extra at a time, like 1 step at a time with that dog. And I prep myself mentally ahead of time. So in other words, right, I know exactly what my handling has to be for each dog. It's not like I have to make it up that day. My handling in training is meticulous so that it's a habit. So then it's the same way when I compete is the exact same way I train. So I don't look any different. As far as my dog's concerned, nothing's changed. So I think the only thing I had to adapt was at the very end, because both dogs had already been in the ring 12 times over, which is 6 times Saturday, 6 times Sunday morning. And the first of the last 3 rings, Zaina was first. Zesty was after Zaina. I only had 1 dog between us. So that means I had like 2.5 minutes, 3 hours.
Wow.
To get 1 dog out of the ring. Luckily, she doesn't care who she gets reinforced from. So my training partner grabbed her and gave her a high value reinforcer. I went to get Zesty out of the crate. he like stuck his head out, like one shoulder, and then just stood there. Like he didn't know what day it was. He didn't know where he was. He was like out to lunch. And rightly so. He was exhausted. He's green. It's his first tournament. I expected it. So I did the best I could to warm him up, but it really wasn't optimal. Like how he got through that first ring, I will never know. Like, yes, some of my training things kicked in, but that dog just dug his little heart out for me. So when I got out of that ring, I was like, well, this didn't work well. So my other friend was there, Lori, my friend. And I said to her, when I go in the ring with Zaina, do tricks with him because he loves tricks. He thinks they're super fun. They make him super happy. They don't require any thought. So I'm not going to be using up any brain power, and they'll just keep him alert so that I don't have to go from dog that's like half asleep to, okay, now you have to perform. That was really the only adjustment I made. And I just kind of made that on the fly and it worked. I mean, he was still tired. There's no getting around that. But yeah, but he was a little bit better in the next two rings. So that was really the only adjustment I made. And I also know that if I get caught up and I get wound up, my dogs are going to read that. And I also know that I think people don't even do it on purpose. I don't even think they realize they're doing it, but they end up they get nervous and then they know it's like every half point counts. So they start putting pressure on their dog. Well, there's already an enormous amount of pressure on them because they've been in the ring 12 times with no reinforcement in the ring.
Wow.
And they can feel the environment. The environment is tense, right? Because these things are the best of the best. And these dogs are so good now in the last 5 to 10 years, where the difference between first and second one year was a runoff. They had the same score. Or it's like a half point. Like there's a half point between Zesty and the second place dog, right? So it's very tight. But I feel like if I put pressure on that, then all I'm going to do is my dog's going to end up making a mistake because they're going to be worried. So I just do the same thing I do every time.
So you said 12 times in the ring. So for those of us,
they ended up 15 all. So the first day you start with 130 dogs and there are 6 rings and different exercises in each ring. So you go on a rotation, wherever you start, and then you rotate through all 6. And then at the end of the day, they calculate the scores of all the dogs and out of those 130, the top 50 scores move on to the next morning.
Okay.
So then the next morning, those 50 dogs go in the ring another 6 times. Each ring has a number of exercises again in it. Get a cumulative score. Out of those 50 dogs, only 20 make it to the final rounds. So the final rounds are 3 rings, multiple exercises, 2 judges in each ring. So each judge is giving you a score. So you're getting 6 scores. And those 3 rings determine places like they award 1 through 10, right? So those 3 rings with, like I said, two scores, 2 judges in each ring. So when they're done, like when I finished, I couldn't even believe I got 2 dogs through 15 rings, which means I went in the ring 30 times.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I got them all the way through. It's not I got them through. Like they tried so hard for me. They didn't make any major mistakes. They didn't fail an exercise. No big errors. And so I was just happy with that. I was like, whatever happens after that. Like,
seriously.
That was a lot. Yeah.
What's really been invigorating for me, and I just keep going back to this and I love it so much, is just 3 words. You do you. And I'm really in love with that. And what I'm referring to is you went back through your NOC performance. Which run did you do in that video where you're speaking over it? Is that your first run or last run?
I did the first run.
The first run. Okay.
I think I did all 3. I just pieced them together. So I did the first run, then I talked over the second and the third. And I just kind of pointed out like the reality, right? Because look, everything looks bright and shiny on Facebook, right? Like, oh, he won. Oh, he only lost a point. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Well, I like to show people reality because that is reality. Because if when they face reality, they feel like something's wrong with them or their dog or they're doing something wrong because they're like, well, how come so-and-so's dog does that and my dog doesn't? Well, I just showed how hard it was and how badly he struggled and little things I did that helped, that kind of saved him a little bit in training and things he did all on his own to push through. So it was all 3 runs.
And you started it by saying the transitions. You said you liked eye contact. And at that moment, you said, instead, I just said, you do you. And I'm like, I just want those 3 words to like ring in my head every time I'm out with my dog. Because what I loved about it, I feel like so many trainers are shaping the behavior in their dog. But I really feel like through everything you're sharing, that your work is putting as much emphasis on shaping my mindset, the mindset of the trainer and the people. And what I'm curious is kind of how you teach someone to see their dog through that lens of you do you, like be who you are, because I want you to be free. Because I feel like you felt like he was slipping and instead of you slipping in, you said you got frustrated and you caught yourself feeling frustrated. How do you reset? Like, how did you handle that?
Well, because I knew it was what I wanted, right? Like I have always trained eye contact, and eye contact for all my dogs has always been an emotional anchor. Like they rely on that. Like it holds them together. If I break eye contact with one of my other dogs, they implode. Like I do it because they like it. They need it. Zest will give it to me most of the time, but sometimes, and he just drops his head and I'll be like, hey, up here. And he's like, yeah, no. And I feel like I always emphasize reading your dog. And if you're reading your dog, you have to respect what they're saying. And my dogs are outstanding communicators, every one of them. And I mean, if I say up here and he doesn't respond, he's clear as day saying, I can't do it. So I either harass the shit out of him, like, and then what's that going to accomplish? I'm putting pressure on him then. And I don't want to put pressure on my dogs. I want to take pressure off my dogs because the more pressure I put on my dogs, it's just going to add to the pressure they already feel. I want to be the source of pressure off, right? I'm the safe space. So I was getting like, ugh, and then in the second I started to think that and feel that out loud, I just said, you do you, because I felt like if I said it out loud, I don't know why, but it did. I kind of thought it was funny. I was like, you do you. And then relieve me from any negative feelings because my dogs will 300% know. And he will for sure, like he's done things in response to just something I was thinking. So I'm like, I can't. And so I just have to respect the fact that that was the best he could do in that moment. And hopefully, fortunately, my training is so strong that I was able to get him from that state into a focused state because I have arousal cues. So I was able to sit him, get to the start of the exercise, sit him down, give him my arousal cue, which increases his arousal and engagement. And so then I had enough dog to do the exercise.
And that was something else you said. You said, by making my dog right and confident and building their ego and not nitpicking. And you're also talking about rewarding being not perfect. You wanted your dog to be free and happy and relaxed and not afraid of making mistakes because they start overthinking. Could you share some more about that? Because I love it so much.
So way back, my first true sport I did was actually field training. And I trained with this guy who was like the top amateur in the country. And with this group, they were a bunch of field trialers. These people are hard people, very punishment based. But this guy was a little bit different. I'm not saying he wasn't hard on his dogs, but like he didn't impose that on me. And what he also did, which was very unique, and I guarantee you there's probably still very few people doing this today, is he believed in teaching. So dogs are supposed to run in a straight line. And I'm going to simplify this to the nth degree, right? Dog's supposed to run to the bird or the bumper in a straight line. And of course, since every competition tests, makes things artificial. There are things in the way that will cause the dog to veer off that line and not go straight, right? So if my dog's running, my dog starts to veer off the line, what most people do is they hit the collar, scream no at the dog, tell them they're wrong, and then like call them back. And the dog learned nothing. So the dog makes the same mistake and it's a mess. So what he taught me to do was dog veers, just stop the dog. That's it. Stop. So whistle, my dog sits, right? And then he goes, give the dog information. So I go, okay, you weren't supposed to go to the left. You need to go. So I can use my hand signals to show the dog where to go. So now the dog goes where it's supposed to go. And guess what? It gets reinforced because it's going to get the bird or the bumper. But my dog learned because I gave it good information. And on the redo, my dog now knows where to make the right decision. So when it hits that point where I gave him the information and makes the right decision, he did something else, which nobody in field ever does, is we'd say, good. So we're saying, good job. You just made a good decision. And the dog gets reinforced just the same both ways. So I kind of took that in a couple ways moving forward and incorporated that into my training. Sometimes if my dog's just giving me a lot of effort, and then so let's take a behavior, right? A full behavior beginning to end. And so 3 months ago, when I decided to bring Zesty, I said, he's too young. He's not trained enough for all the challenges. There's a ton of unique challenges that happen at this national event. It's super hard. So basically, I had to teach him all these things that were hard. And I want him to be confident when he's doing them. So if he pushes through a challenge or two and then comes to the end of the chain and then is a little bit not perfect at the end of the chain, I just go, yes. And I'm like, you are amazing. And we have a party. And I'm like, I make a huge reward event out of it. My dogs love that because they like stick out their chest and they're like, yeah, I'm really awesome. And I'm building their ego. And then people freak out. Well, his front was crooked, right? I'm like, yep, I know. And they're like, well, you didn't fix it. I'm like, no, I didn't. Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. So basically I got him through like that hard training and now it's getting relatively close to the event. And normally I would have had enough time to also work on that end piece in a way that makes the dog confident, but I didn't have time. So I was just like, whatever, close enough. Here's a cookie. Close enough. Here's a cookie. There was an exercise. Something weird happened. His scent articles. My dogs always had perfect scent articles, like phenomenal scent articles for like 5 weeks. They were a disaster. I finally figured out it was a medication I was taking, but I couldn't stop taking it. So I fixed the scent articles like literally a week before the event with the help of a trainer. And so when I did scent articles that week leading up, if he came in and had the right article, I don't care if you're not fronting perfectly. I don't care if you're not holding perfectly. I just care that you did it. And I'm like, yes, here you go. So I think that the only reason he was able to push through like he did on all these really hard decision points. So if I'm training my dog and I set up a challenge that's really hard and my dog's like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm like, you can do it. Get it. The dog does it. Even if it's not perfect. I'm like, yeah, because you put in a huge effort. I don't care if it's not perfect. Because if I tell you that over and over, it's going to get perfect by default because you're just going to get confident. And then you're going to be relaxed. And then the challenge is going to be fun. And then you're going to push through and go, yeah, look at me. I did it. So the challenges he encountered in those last 3 rings where you could clear as day see that in that moment, he made this very conscious decision to push through and do the right thing when he had every right to bail because he was so mentally exhausted is because he's free. Because I let them make mistakes and I don't care. I don't make a big deal about it. I don't put pressure on them. I build their ego. I build their confidence because I feel like those details, they come on their own, right? Like my dogs know how to front. it's just putting it all together. And he did. He put it all together. And I was like, holy cow, I can't believe he put it all together. And the more I thought about it on the drive home was he put it all together because there was no pressure. Like he wasn't coming into me going, oh God, oh God, oh God. He just came in and he's like, oh, fixed his front. And even in the ring, I'm just smiling at him. Like I'm telling him with my face, good job, buddy. You're awesome. I don't care if my dog fails. I'm going to give him the same information, right, in the ring. But yeah, so I think it was because he was free, because I don't harass them about mistakes. If my dog makes a mistake that I feel like it's a problem, like, well, I can't keep letting you do that, then all I do is I use that field training example, right? I just interrupt the behavior. I don't say you're wrong. No, I just interrupt the behavior. I usually just stop, right? Like we stop moving. And then I immediately tell my dog how to be right. Do it this way, buddy. And the dog goes, oh, that way? I go, yeah, that way. And he goes, oh, okay. And then I release him. We do it over. Now I gave the dog really good information so he can fix it now because I told you how. And then he does it right. And then I'm like, wow, that was so awesome. So again, to my dogs, a mistake isn't like something terrible. It's just I'm teaching. So I'm giving you information. Don't do it that way. Do it this way. This is the way I want you to do it. And then the dog goes, oh, I can do that. And then I'm like, good, there you go.
From the last panel discussion, one of my favorite quotes you said was, I don't want my dog to pair challenge with failure. That hit home so hard. So thank you for that explanation.
Such an old like proofing thing in my sport, and then people still do it. The way I was taught, which I actually didn't end up doing, thank God, but the way the prevalent theory is you set the dog up to fail and then you tell the dog they're wrong. Don't do that. Well, all it does, I've seen people do it. It makes really nervous dogs that make more mistakes because they're afraid of making a mistake and being wrong. So they're so like, that they make more mistakes. And then when I've seen them then at a competition, they make the exact mistake they were proofing against because the dog's not free enough to push through.
Yeah, I absolutely, I hate that kind of thing. I hate that kind of thing with the proofing and just, yeah, I was proofing with Powder today on her stays, and it's all like you set them up for what you know that they can do, but you push them a little bit, and then huge party when they're successful. I have a question, actually. How old is Zesty at this point?
He turned 5 in May.
Wow. Oh my gosh, time flies. I remember when you got him and he was this little tiny puppy.
I know.
I don't know what happened with time.
Second.
I don't know. But how exciting for you, though. He's a young dog for what he's doing, and seeing the success that you had, because you referred to him as green.
He's very green. I mean, he's never been to a tournament. He hasn't shown a lot. Like Zaina is seasoned. Like I can go to a brand new location, walk in the door, walk her around, and she looks around and goes, oh, we're at a show. And she looks at me, let's go. And she's ready to work. She doesn't even need to walk around. Just hasn't been to a bunch of different places. And like I said, I basically did all that, my version of proofing, which is showing him all these, because so many different things happen at the national that don't happen anywhere else. So I had to introduce him to all these different possibilities and get him confident around them. So I was kind of like, okay, I got 3 months to get all this done. Let's rock and roll.
I'm just thinking you must be really excited about even just the future with him. If he is green, like I'm using that word kind of, I'm looking at that going, the rest of us are like, wow. And if he's green and looking ahead and seeing if he's already so successful, that just must be really, really exciting for you.
Yeah, I'm weird. I don't look that far ahead. It's the same thing. Like I was saying earlier when we signed on, like I don't look far behind.
Yeah.
I don't dwell in the past. I don't dwell in the future a lot. Like I feel good. I feel good about him. I feel good about what we accomplished. But like I love training. I think that's the bottom line. I love training. So in my mind, there's already a list of things that can be better, right? So that I started goofing around with like little tricks in my kitchen, right? Because that part I like. I feel like I could still be a better communicator for him. I feel like I could still be a better handler for him. I feel like there are certain things that could still be a little stronger. So that's kind of like what I focus on. And then when I go to my next show, I just ask myself, are those things better or not? And then we keep going. I don't really look at it in terms of like, what does that mean competition wise or result wise?
Yeah. Yeah.
I really don't. I might have, when I had my Tyler, like it was setting goal after goal because the goal is what drove me. But I've been doing this a long time, and it to a certain point, and if the journey between the goals isn't inspiring you, then you're going to burn out.
Absolutely.
So it's always, can I be a better trainer? Can I be a better communicator? Can I be a better handler? And that's what completely fascinates me. And that's the piece I like the most.
And part of that too is like you made a really beautiful post about change, and you are walking a different path. And I don't know if our listeners know about that, but I'd like you to kind of speak to that if possible, because you mentioned the path less traveled. And I think it can be very difficult because you're figuring things out on your own. So I'm kind of curious what helps you keep going when that path might feel lonely or unclear.
That's been super challenging, right? Because I was really lucky. I mean, I've had some pretty good dogs. So Tyler was only my second competition dog, but he was extremely talented, just genetically, like without a doubt, off the charts talented. And luckily, I don't know how I knew, like, I guess it was just obvious. Like he was always trying really, really hard, right? So where I was training, I wouldn't say they were terrible because at the time, yes, we used a prong collar, but wasn't like, no, you're bad. It was more like you do the pivot and the dog would go fast. I mean, I'm not saying I'm okay with it now. I'm just saying we weren't doing it like, you're wrong, you're wrong. And I figured out pretty quickly with him that he was always trying. And I remember distinctly at one point, I had a lesson and I was like, I can't remember what it was, but I'm like, he's messing this up. And they're like, well, tell him he's wrong. I'm like, no, he will not do it if he knows it's wrong. Like if he knew it was wrong, he wouldn't do it. He just wants to be right. So I just have to figure out how to tell him how to be right, not you're wrong. No, I want to tell him how to be right. And I think that was the start, because that was the start of that little bit of a divide, right? Because it's like, well, you're not following our program. And that's when I started to drift away, because I was like, well, yeah, but I want to try it this way, or I want to try that. I want to see if I can make this better, even better. They're like, well, I am like, it's not about that. I just want to see if I can make it better. I want to see if I can figure this out. Mm-hmm. So then I got Zeal. And Zeal is the world's most sensitive dog ever. Like, it's insane how sensitive he was. Like, he was sound sensitive, motion sensitive. I couldn't use a clicker. He would flinch. Like, he would flinch. He would be afraid of inanimate objects. Like, he was a train wreck. So I couldn't use aversives with him. There was no way. And again, I wanted to train things a little bit differently. And that didn't go along with the plan. And I was told, well, if you're going to do that and it doesn't work out, you're on your own. And so anyway, I split, but there was nobody around that trains this way. Nobody trains the way I train. Right. So, and then there were things like pressure. Nobody was teaching pressure. Like nobody was teaching any of these things. So I had to figure it out all on my own. And of course, like there's scrutiny on me constantly, like, oh yeah, she only won twice with her first, or did all the stuff with her first dog because he was a special dog, right? She's not going to be able to do it again. And then, so then of course you start doubting yourself. Like I'm human. Like I'm like, oh God, like maybe they're right. Maybe this can't be done. Maybe I can't figure it out. Maybe I'm never going to be able to do it. And I was like, well, I was like, Zeal is who he is. He's doing the best he can. I'm doing the best I can. That's all we can do. I have to drown out the noise and just do the best I can. And he started to come around and he started to do really well. And then, competition is competition. People get a little vicious. So again, I'm like an island and I have to, So it's very challenging. So I did a lot of mental management work, a ton of mental management work, a ton of just like constantly saying like, why am I doing this? What is my goal? It's not to win. It's, I want to be a better trainer. I want to see if I can figure Zeal out. And I know force is never going to accomplish that. Punishment is never going to accomplish that. So I have to be creative. I have to be clever. I listen to podcasts from every sport. I talk to trainers from every sport, behaviorists, agility, freestyle, on and on, right? And then I just experimented and figured stuff out. So by the time, and he ended up, like, much to my shock, he ended up winning an NOC. So, but of course, sure, people were still saying, oh, it's Tyler's son, because nobody really knows what goes on in the background, right? They just see the results.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, like dogs can be closely related. I mean, so Zesty,
like,
I know Zesty and Brava, my Brava, they're full sibling. And like, she is definitely, yeah, it's training. I give you a ton of credit. It is all training.
Are so different.
They're totally
Dana,
different.
and she's so different.
Yeah.
Dana is like very strong-willed, and she's like, oh, you think you're going to tell me what to do? No. So it's not, it really is, it wouldn't have worked with any of my dogs. So, but anyway, so here I am, and it gets frustrating after a while, and it gets a little demoralizing, and you don't always have, not having help. It's really hard. So you just constantly have to, I mean, I do think, and I told Denise this after Zesty won, like, at least I have that space to go to. It's just, and a lot of those trainers aren't competing at that level. So when I'm like, I need help with something, like I'm trying to figure stuff out that's like, how do I get him to understand that when the pressure approaches, he should look up at me and push me and like that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
But whatever, I just like kept stumbling along. And then fortunately, like 3 or 4 months ago, and I think this is probably one of the, because I wasn't even going to go to the national, to be quite honest. I became friends with Lori, who I do my podcast with now. Like I don't give private lessons in person. And I wouldn't say she harassed me. She was like, she saw I was always trying to find people to train with that would train like I would train. And she's like, how about you give me a lesson and then I'll help you train your dog? And so I'm like, I'll try it one time. And she comes in and she's like showing me stuff her dog does. And I'm like, who taught you to teach your dog to do all that? And she's like, you did. I'm like, I never gave you that. Like, oh, your online stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's why your dog's. And so that was really exciting for me because she's also just, one of those people that just really intuitive, like figure stuff out really fast, can read a dog, like, those trainers. So she's been helping me. And so we started training together more. I mean, more relatively speaking, she's in Connecticut, but it just kind of rejuvenated me. And then I trained with a couple other people that trained similar to me and because unfortunately my sport has become very heavy on the e-collar, on punishment. Like I felt like it was evolving in a better direction, and now it's gone completely off the rails.
Really? Wow.
So yeah, like people just, I think the other thing that helps me is that I have always been someone that like, I like challenges, and a little bit of like, everybody likes it. Like, it's so much better having these people now that are like-minded and they can help me and I can help them. But if I don't have a big group of people, I'm fine with that. I've always been a little bit of kind of a loner. I think for some people, it's hard to go do that path because then they lose like the social aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, I don't know. It's hard. It is hard.
No, that's huge because like I do positive bite sports, and that's not something that's very common. And so I feel that island mentality. And so I think some people are like, island mentality, that sounds beautiful, clear water. And and I think we do have to reframe a little bit and say it has to be somebody that loves challenges and understands dogs. So I feel you. I'm there with you, friend.
It is very hard. And it's very hard when you're really competitive and you know what people are saying, because sometimes they say it and forget that your friend's standing behind them and videotaping, and it's on your videotape.
Oh, man, that's
Oh,
hard.
really?
See, I think it's funny. Or that, I mean, I've had overt, but whatever, you just comes with the territory. Like at the end of the day, I keep reminding myself, if I'm not having fun doing this, then why am I even doing it? Right. So I want to be having fun. So the way I do it is fun. B, when I sit there with my dogs in my house, whether they come up and want to be pet on the couch, or they're on the patio with me, or I'm hiking with them, or I'm trying to do yoga and they think they're helping, I love them. So why do I want to do something to them where I'm making them unhappy? So I make like a very conscious decision. Like I don't just pet them. I consciously go, this is why you train the way you train. Remember that, right? Because you can feel yourself being pulled sometimes, especially when things aren't going well and you're stuck with something and you're like, ugh.
Yeah. It's having that, knowing your why. That's important in everything that we do. So I just want to back up for a second. You mentioned a podcast. So I want to make sure we plug that.
Oh, that's not one.
Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
It's wonderful, by the way. It is so good.
You say everything I do is good, Crystal. You're just the nicest person.
No, you are legit. You are fabulous.
Stores, and you'd be like, "Oh, you hit my car! Yay!"
I would ask you if you'd sign it so I could leave it that way. I am such a Petra fan, I'm telling you, but it's so deserved. It's so deserved.
Yeah.
Here's why I say it though. I don't blow smoke, truly. I look at what you share, and that kind of goes to the why question that Stacy was just saying, is I was kind of like, man, you share so much. And is it because you're on that island, and you're encouraging others to understand how you're thinking and what you're doing? Or is it just the why because you just love it so much? And what I truly feel from you is you really are so passionate. And anyone that has that kind of passion, I am a fan. And so that's where I come from. So maybe if that helps you understand that I'm truly, that's why I'm such a fan, is because you share that passion so freely and people can grow and learn from you. And even though your change post was so fabulous, you talked about being coachable as a superpower. And it was just, the stuff you write just resonates so much with me. So I appreciate you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I am passionate. That's just how I am. Whatever I'm into, like I'm full on into, right? Like, so my problem is I'm into too many things, but I am. So one day, I don't know when it was a long time ago, I had this weird epiphany, probably while I was running, because that's usually where I figure everything out. And I'm like, I have so much information right now in my head about dogs and dog training and pressure and all this stuff. And I'm like, so what's the point? Like, I just die and then it just goes away with me. Like, that's literally what I thought. And that's like kind of a waste.
As you trip over a tree limb and get hit. Anyway.
No, that's what Shade did. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So no, luckily I didn't. No, I always figure everything out when I'm running or hiking. So anyway, I'm like, what is the point? Like, same with mental management. Like, I had a really horrible childhood and upbringing. And like, it took me a super long time because I had no help, like figuring everything out and coming out the other side. And again, I'm like, what's the point? Like, if you believe in karma, you burnt up those karmic seeds so it doesn't happen again and again. But I was kind of like, okay, I guess. But then I was like, well, if I share it, then if at least a couple other people benefit from it, well, then it would be worthwhile, right? Then I feel like, oh, I learned it all for a reason. I have all this information and other people can use it and they don't have to struggle like I did through certain things or whatever, right? That's really the primary reason I put things out there or try to share it, et cetera, is because everybody struggles in some, whether it's in life or in dog training. And if there's something that can help somebody, then I feel like cumulatively over time, then me knowing all this stuff wasn't a waste, or me having gone through all the struggles wasn't like just for me. And then it feels like it's more worthwhile, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what's the name of the podcast?
It's Canine Connection. And it's just Lori and I talking about training in general, not for any specific sport. Of course, there will be like obedience references, but I also reference like field and agility and different things. And, but it's just about, it's trying to, again, show the reality of the sport, that it's not like some people are just geniuses. Like, no, everybody struggles. Everything is hard. And putting, that positive spin on it, right? Like the dog is not being wrong to make you mad. The dog is trying.
Exactly. Well, we'll make sure we put a link in the show notes also. So, and I'm looking forward to definitely listening, and be great new, like Robin says, new driving things. Listening in the car.
Yeah.
Of course, I haven't been driving very much lately. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, but even your Facebook posts are just brilliant, and you share a lot of information there. So if anyone is looking for some brilliant things to read, definitely check out Petra's Facebook. And especially if you've ever taken any of the Finzi classes, workshops, webinars, anything, get in the alumni group, because what you share there is just, you share so much and it's so free. And so again, that's why I speak to the sharing of your passion. That's what the Detection Collaborative is about, is collaborating. And that's what you do so beautifully. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
No problem.
You did mention how different Zesty and Zaina were. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Zaina is very innately confident. She's very, very, very independent. She does not work for me. She works for the reinforcer, and it better be worth her while, or else she can't be bothered. And she thinks like really fine-tuning perfection is just ridiculous, right? So her tolerance for that is very low. And she's kind of teeters in between, like, if I get her, like, her optimal arousal window is the width of a hair, a single right? Get her too aroused, and then she tells me like, hurry up and get this over with so I can get my reinforcer. Or she anticipates, she just skips. She's like, why do these in between steps? Let's just get
oh my gosh,
fun part. And at the same time, if she's wrong, like if she comes in and her front's crooked and I'm like, that's not right, she's like, oh. And then she like almost gives up. So you have to be super creative to train her, like very creative. And just in terms of how I train her, the number of reps, like everything has to be. And like in the ring, I have to be, it looks to from the outside, I'm sure it looks like I'm being so mean to her. And so like right here, because then she goes, okay. If I'm like, good girl, she's like, wee. And then she just does whatever she wants and mucks it all up. And if I'm like, dude, pay attention. She goes, oh, we're working. This is that serious stuff. Got it. And then she will show up. So she yells at me. Like if she's wrong, she'll like bite me. She'll yell at me. She's yelled at me in the ring multiple times. She made a mistake. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Everybody. Yeah.
So she sounds like her half sister, Brava.
Yeah. But again, she's tricky. Like I have to make her right. Like if she's wrong, I can't say figure it out. I have to show her exactly how to do it. Even if I know some way, shape, or I have to, even if I have to like physically just do something to her. So she's like, you're supposed to be there. And then she goes, oh, got it. But if I'm like, dude, you're not straight. And she's like, well, forget it then. She'll do the same incorrect behavior over and over. It's kind of fascinating, actually. It's like she gets in this rut.
That is fascinating.
It was a lot to figure out. And she's hilarious. Like this whole weekend at the Nationals, like, yes, she did really well. But like, even when she's not perfectly straight, in her mind, she is. I did it. And in my head, I'm like, well, not quite. And I'm like, yep, you did it. Because that's the best. Like, that's just the best she can do. She's like, how was that? I'm like, it was good. Even though I'm like, oh God, but whatever. So that's her. That's the typical boy. Like, he wants to make me happy. He exists on this earth to make me happy. Like, he follows me from room to room to room. When we're working, he does not want to be wrong. A problem I had with him early on when showing is he would be slow because like smoke was pouring out of his ears because he was like, God, can't make a mistake. And I'm like, dude, I don't train you like this at all. Like, what are you doing? That's his internal thing, right? Like, internally is like, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to make a mistake. If I, in the ring, even think to myself, like, oh, he didn't do the glove pickup the way I wanted, he's like, oh God, I messed up. So I'm like super careful. And yeah, like he'll work all day and all night. He doesn't like repetition. He makes that very clear, but he's a really good communicator. So very sensitive. His arousal window is much easier to work with. And yeah, like he digs, he has those intangibles that you can't. I mean, yes, I took a dog like Zesty. Probably one of my greatest accomplishments personally as a trainer is taking a dog like Zeal, who peed in the ring when a man did an exam on him, who was so terrified, is that when he won that national, and I have it on video and I've looked at it to remind myself, like, no, you didn't imagine it. He was confident. Now, he was confident that whole tournament. That to me is a miracle. Like, I don't even know how I did that, honestly. Like, it's kind of mind-boggling. But
good training.
Innately, some dogs
Consistency.
have those intangibles, and Zesty has the intangible. He has that. He digs and pushes, right? Like, all on his own. Sure, I try to foster that, but yeah, so they're very different.
That's awesome.
All my dogs are different.
It's just so exciting to hear about it. It really is. Just the accomplishment and to also see the passion that you have about working with the dogs, and that it's not about the competition, right? It's about the training. That really is beautiful.
If you had a chance to speak directly to the next generation of dog trainers, what hope or challenge would you leave them with?
Oh my goodness, Crystal, you're asking.
I know it's a hard one, but I've really been curious.
To strive to always be better, right? Like, to never stop learning, never stop being a student, to always strive to be better, to never think like, oh, you figured it out. Because as soon as you think that, you're going to stagnate. And the goal should always be to read the dog better and to communicate with the dog better, because each dog is going to be completely different. And you're just, when you think you know what you're doing, your next dog's going to tell you don't know a thing. Yeah. So I think that.
Yeah, really adapting to the dog. That's something I love reading through your posts and seeing through your work. If you could change how the dog training community supports its members, and I was thinking about this from what you said earlier, what's the first thing you'd do?
If I could change them, or if I could ask them to change.
Either way.
Life is really, everybody makes life so much more complicated than it has to be. It's like really simple. Like, remember when we were little kids? I don't know, maybe I'm just dating myself because I'm not yet. But, and I don't know, was it a song or something? There are like 3 little magical words, and it's like, please, thank you, and something like that. Yeah. Like, just be nice, right? Like, especially with competition, can bring out the worst in people sometimes. And at the end of the day, even if maybe I don't like you as a person, or maybe I don't like your training methods, but if you accomplish something, I'm never going to just knock you down. I'm going to be like, wow, that's pretty incredible. Like, I think people should just be nicer to each other, period. Like, just be nice and be open-minded. People should be nicer and more open-minded, I think.
Amen.
Please. Please listen to Petra.
I'm like, it's not that hard.
Yes.
Be nice.
No kidding.
So we always have to do our takeaways at the end. And so we'll give you a chance to think about it. Stacy, do you want to share your takeaways, or you may go first?
Well, my takeaways are is really dedication. And you said this at the beginning, you talked about meticulous handling, and that takes dedication. It's dedication to your craft and dedication to the animal. And that comes out loud and clear. And I think that's something that we can all take forward no matter what sport, activity, type of training, anything we're doing with our dogs. If we think about the dedication and being meticulous in how we apply our craft, it's the titles, the accomplishments, everything is the outcome of all of that work.
I love how you give praise to your dog. Immediately in the very beginning, I was like, congratulations, you did the thing. And she's like, nope, my dog did it.
Well, he did.
He did, but you guys are a team. And I do love that you recognize so much of what your dog brings to that team. And I think that's something a lot of people can learn from. I also appreciate when you say that I can only control myself. And that's something that I work so hard on, and it's always a work in progress. And I appreciate that path less traveled mentality that you also maintain, and give people the strength to be free, not just to let their dogs be free, but also to free us up, to inspire us to change and just try something new here or there. So maybe there's something that you think is going great. Well, what happens if you go, I wonder if I did this, could it make it even better? And I love that experimental mindset. So thank you for sharing that gift.
I think people are afraid to experiment because they're afraid it's going to go wrong. So that's a human mentality. It could go wrong. Well, it could go right. It could be even better. But we're always wired for it to potentially go wrong, right? I'm writing a blog now about teammates, right? Because we're a team, right? So Zesty didn't win. I didn't win. We did it together. So we should be asking ourselves, would we want to be our own teammate, right? So if I'm saying to my dog, no, you're wrong. Ugh, what are you doing? Well, if you were saying that to me, I wouldn't want to be on your team. I'd be like, I'm out. But I want to be on a team with a person that's like, you messed up. Don't worry about it. You're going to do a better job next time. You'll be fine. So every single thing you think about, every piece of a good teammate, like I watch sports all the time because of all those lessons. And when I see someone being a really good teammate, that's inspiration, right? That's what I want to be for my dog, because I'm the one that decided to put this team together. I'm the one that's not just the teammate, but I'm also the coach and the personal trainer and all the other things. So does my dog want to be my teammate? That's what we should be asking ourselves, and always striving to be a better teammate than we already are. We can always be better. Sure, I'm sure Dana would tell you. A whole list of things. People are like, get an animal communicator. I'm like, no.
No, thank you. No, I don't want to know anymore.
I don't want to know what she's saying about me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one.
I think I can figure it out.
Yeah,
I think I've
written all over their face.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, ladies, so much for spending time again today and sharing your gifts with everybody out there in the dog community. We all really appreciate you. And as Robin always ends every episode with, have fun and go train.
Canine Detection Collaborative.
We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to k9detectioncollaborative.com. That's K9detectioncollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.